Hey guys, if you want to be successful selling on Fiverr, knowing how to handle the 3 types of buyers that exist on Fiverr is going to be monumentally helpful to your success. In this video, I'm going to talk about those 3 types of buyers that exist on Fiverr and that you might encounter. I'm going to teach you how to communicate with them, and through that communication, how to negotiate higher prices, set better expectations, get better ratings, and ultimately turn more of these buyers messaging you about your gigs into more paying and happy customers. But first, before I get into this video, if you enjoy this channel and you like these videos and they're helpful in helping you sell and do better on Fiverr, subscribe to the channel. It's motivating to me and lets me know that I'm actually helping people out there who are finding this content useful. So thanks for that. Alright, so the first type of buyer that you need to know how to deal with is what I like to call the impulse buyer. The impulse buyer is the type of buyer that will place an order with you without messaging you first and without asking you any questions about your gig. You just wake up one morning, there's an order in your inbox. Great, right? Not so fast. Most of the times, you're probably right. This is awesome. This is a buyer that really isn't going to be too picky with what you're delivering, and it's going to be great. But there's some times where you do need to do some due diligence and take a step back and slow things down just to make sure you're both on the same page with the order that they want you to deliver for them. First, once an impulse buyer places an order with you, message them immediately. Summarize what you think they're expecting out of you, what the gig that they ordered includes, and everything that you're going to be delivering. Doesn't have to be too long, just give them a point form note breakdown of what you're going to be delivering. This is especially helpful if they haven't filled out your gig requirements, which in some cases, impulse buyers typically, or they might skip. If they respond to your summary and you realize that you aren't totally on the same page, or maybe they were expecting something a little out of the ordinary or a little different from what you normally deliver with your gig, upsell. This is your opportunity to really upsell. This is the perfect type of buyer to let know that they forgot to check something out during the placing the order. You know, they've forgotten a certain gig extra, that you've done this a million times before and it's no big deal. You can help them. They just need to add, this, and this to the order. Talk with them about it. If they were in such a rush to place an order, they're probably going to be in a rush to say, yeah, just add it, modify the order, and we're good to go. That's great. Sell to them what you think they need to complete the project, set your price, send them the revision, and get started. If they push back and they aren't happy that what they purchased from you doesn't really include what exactly they need, take some time to explain it to them. If they were in a rush and they completely ordered your gig accidentally, maybe you need to cancel the order. But if they order your gig knowing what you do, but they just want something that's a little outside the scope, talk to them and work out a deal. Oftentimes people are pretty understanding, and if you took the time to understand and let them know that they didn't order the exact thing that they need, they're probably going to be appreciative and they'll get it if there needs to be a little change on the order. So take the time to have that conversation. The second type of buyer, and my least favorite, is what I like to call the bargain hunter. For whatever reason, some buyers on Fiverr have it in their mind that Fiverr sellers are so desperate to get an order that they'll do absolutely anything to win a deal, including dropping their prices to absurdly low numbers. While this might be true for some sellers on Fiverr who are really desperate to get an order, if you're serious about building a good source of income on Fiverr and aren't in the business of working for free or next to nothing, you really need to know how to push back and get these types of buyers to either move on or pay you what you're worth for your gig. Oftentimes, this buyer will message you through your gig and ask you questions about your gig. They'll ask you if you can complete a certain service. Well, if what they're asking you already aligns with what you described in your gig, the obvious answer is yeah, of course you can help them do it, right? They're not stupid. They're asking you this, and they'll often follow up with, what's your best price? Rather than just placing an order, if they ask you about what you offer in your gig and start a conversation with you, it's kind of an easy segue for them to say, hey, what's your best price on this? This is where you really need to realize what's going on here, slow the conversation down, and keep control of the negotiation. You want the power to be in your hands. A great response if you encounter this type of negotiation tactic is to say what I'm about to say. Take this down, I'll include a screenshot on the screen. This is gonna help you. Hey, thank you so much for your interest in my gig. I've actually put together a couple of different packages outlining my services, what they include, and the prices on my gig page. Here's a link to it. You should check it out. If you check it out and you realize that what you're looking for doesn't align with my gigs as defined on that gig listing, just let me know and we'll figure out a pricing arrangement based on the scope of what you need done that works for both of us. I love this type of response. It's basically saying, hey, my prices are already published, look at them, and it also puts the bargain hunter on the defense, and that's what you want. You want them to feel like you're in control of the conversation. The reality is, for a lot of people, it's a little uncomfortable to ask for a discount straight up. So oftentimes, after you use this type of response, you'll get a response something along the lines of, okay, I'll check it out. Sometimes they'll check it out and place an order, sometimes they won't. If they come back to you and say, hey, I did check your prices, but they're a little out of my budget, this is what you need to say to win this deal. Thanks for letting me know. I put a lot of time and effort into my orders to make sure I'm delivering top quality work that my buyers absolutely love. The prices that I listed on that gig accurately reflect the amount of time, work, and effort I need to put in to deliver this level of top quality work. Anything less just wouldn't be worth my time. If my prices are a little out of your budget, that's okay. There's a lot of lower quality sellers on Fiverr where you could probably get this same level of work done for a lot less. You should check them out if I'm a little too expensive for you. Thanks for your interest. Shot to the gut, right? I know. This response is insanely powerful in my opinion. And I think it does a couple of different things psychologically to the buyer that's gonna work for you. One is it's reminding them that you offer high quality service. Two, you're putting out a confidence that they've probably not encountered on Fiverr before. You want their business, but you don't need it, and you're not gonna needlessly drop your prices just because they had the courage to ask. And third is you're kind of breaking up with them. When you end it with thanks for your interest, you're essentially telling them, I'm done with you. You know, we're not gonna work together. Go ahead, you can find a lower quality, cheaper seller on Fiverr. Go ahead, like, I'm fine with it. It's for these reasons that I think this is the best response when you get this type of bargain hunter trying to beat you down on price. Sometimes you'll get the deal, sometimes you won't. But if they are a buyer that's for real about buying services on Fiverr, and they were just trying to get a deal out of you and they figured, hey, might as well ask, this will work. Pushing back on this type of buyer is fantastic. It shows them that you're the real deal, you've done this before, and you pride yourself on the quality of your work. If they're the type of buyer that's just looking for rock bottom prices, they weren't the right buyer for you anyways, and move on. Trust me, it'll be for the better. All right, so the third type of buyer is what I like to call the clueless buyer. They aren't super common, but sometimes you'll get a buyer that asks you questions that are completely out of the ordinary or just don't relate at all to the gig that they messaged you about. It's not the end of the world though. Sometimes these people are just rushed and didn't take the time to read anything more than your gig title. If that's the case, just make sure you're pointing them back to your gig. Tell them that it's probably going to be for the better if they take the time to read your gig description and then come back to you with any questions that they might have. They'll appreciate it. But sometimes this might just be someone who's absolutely never worked with a freelancer before and is actually clueless and has no idea what to expect. If you realize that the buyer falls into this group and they have no idea what to expect, do one of the following. Your first option is to push back, tell them to read your gig, and tell them to do their due diligence. If you're the type of seller who has a lot of work coming in all the time and don't have the time to waste explaining something to someone who's just too lazy to read through your gig, you might want to just punt them and tell them to kick rocks and, you really don't need to deal with this. In a nice way, obviously, but, push them aside. If, however, you don't have a steady stream of orders coming in, it's in your best interest to explain it to them. If you choose to explain it to them, they're essentially a blank canvas. If they know nothing about Fiverr or have never worked with a freelancer or don't know what to expect, it's on you to set the expectations for them. And this is great. It's an awesome upsell opportunity. Let them know how you like to work with your buyers, what's worked well in the past for other buyers, how you like to run projects, and most importantly, how you like to get paid and how much you need to get paid. You set your prices, you set the expectations, and if they're serious about buying from you, you could really make a good amount of money on a deal like this because you took the time. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. These are the 3 types of buyers that I think you'll most commonly encounter while selling on Fiverr. Use this video to help you identify what type of buyer you're dealing with and use it to arm you with some best practices to give you an edge when you're negotiating with your buyers or when you're setting expectations and trying to convince them to place an order. So thanks again for watching. If this was helpful, if you love the channel, subscribe. I appreciate it. And until next time, cheers.